Usher man in the city, battling Ito, made that boy dizzy. Can you not copy your raps? You looking silly like Milli Vanilli. Ride with the top down, Vivi City. Locked down in the metaverse, it's a frigid. Pro vibe for the family, I got plenty. Usher man on nature grease, I'm a demi. Gotta take care of your kids, gotta take care of the little ones. If we got a big at the crib, I'ma come through with the big ones. NFT money legit, yeah, it keep on going up. Family friends on my list, they made me the man who I is. I'm too ultra, man. I'm so ultra, man. Yes, I'm ultra, man. I'm too ultra, man.
What's up, my fellow NFT collectors? Welcome back to the live stream. It's time for a very important AMA associated with the DC NFT universe. It's going to be, is he considered an artist or is he a writer too? It's artist Jim Lee, but he also created his own company like Dark Horse Comics as well, so he might do some writing. I'm not sure about that. Shout out to Drew Pear, Adam G Money's in the house. What's up, All Chat Gaming, Led Jess? We got the expert himself, Marvelous Pax is here. He might be giving us a little bit of insight while we're listening to this. I'll be muting myself though most of the time, but I thought I would start a little bit early anyway. That way we could play some non-fungible wonderful music and check out these floor prices. I'll show you guys the snipes I got, and y'all can rate my snipes. I need some ratings on my snipes. Shout out to VV Darklink, got rugged big time today early in the stream, but he's back and he's ready to go. Alejandro is ready to go. Yeah, no problem, Roy Starbone. I was actually going to do VV trivia today. I talked to Arcade last night, and I told him about the Jim Lee thing, and he was excited about it too. And he's like, we're probably going to have to just reschedule trivia. We could do trivia later this week. We could do it tomorrow. Do we not have a drop tomorrow? I got to get with Arcade, but if y'all are down, there won't be as many people there. But I got plenty of prizes. You know I always got NFTs to give away. That's why they call me the Vault. All right, let's check out these floor prices real quick, and then we'll check my flips, and we'll see how my flips were. Not my flips. I don't even think I flipped anything. I just sniped it and didn't sell anything back yet. I'm holding wait for the prices to go up. Catch them at the floor, get the low serial numbers at the floor, and then wait for the floor to go up, and then sell the low serial numbers back for Mo. All right, 85 gems on the secret rare, so it's doing better than I expected. 13 on the ultra rare. The rare's a little bit under retail, $6.95. The uncommon's at $2.20. What's up, Eric? And then the common gang is at 2 gems right on it. All right, let's see what I got. And y'all tell me how I did on the snipings. I don't think I got anything too great. I can't even remember all I sniped. Only 3, I guess. All right. 8185. Oh, yeah. Okay, I sniped this for 1.5 gems. I was buying anything that was $1.50. People were posting stuff for $1.50. Common or uncommon, $1.50, I'm buying. That's what I got on the drop. And then I got number 204. Let's see what I paid. 20 gems for 204. We'll have to look and see if that was a good snipe or not. I don't know. It was an uncommon, so maybe not. 210 is going for 21. I could really buy that too and then put them both back at 40. I wonder if anybody would buy those at 40. 268's at $9.99. I've been watching Abdullah try to sell that 268. I almost bought it a couple times, and I was like, if Abdullah's selling it, maybe I shouldn't. If he can't sell it, then I can't sell it. But I bought, yeah, 204 for 20. That was pretty much my only snipe for today. Still considering throwing that back up there. Maybe even behind that 210 for 21 and putting them both back for 30 or both back for 40. Do y'all think that's a crazy play? Should I do that? Let's see what the cheap commons are selling. We got the AMA is going to start any minute now. I'm keeping my eye on it. I got my Twitter pulled up and ready to go. As soon as it starts, we'll be in there. All right, let me pull this back up. What was that? I was getting ready to do something. Crap. Oh yeah, 204. We're gonna put this back up. I think we'll put this up for $49.99. And the question is, do I want to buy that other one? I guess not. If it was a good idea, people in the chat would let me know. That's one I bought the other day. Number 419. Again, got the snipe because I had the VMate app. I paid $50 for it, and the floor is at $35 and $50 for number 419. Not bad at all. But that's what the oh, have we checked all it? Yeah, we checked all the floor prices. That's what the floor prices are looking like. And this AMA we're about to have right here is with Palm Studios and DC Comics, and of course Jim Lee. So they're going to be talking about the NFT platform, and of course they'll probably be talking about next week's drop, which was announced, the Flash number 123, a 1961 comic. and the 9.2s on these go for 16K or higher, and there ain't no 9.8s probably. 9.6, there's only one, but that was probably a long time ago because there's no price. 7 of them, you got to sign in to see those for some reason, and I'm not getting an account. You can replace song in studio to remove the strike, and I don't care, it's not a big deal. I don't need to monetize every time. All right, Meta Money says, are we expecting any announcements? Well, the DC Studio stuff has been big. I don't know if I want to lose my spot here, but the DC Studios has been trending on Twitter because they just had some big meeting with all the press. Yesterday it was press only, and then today they're going to be having these announcements. Has to do with, you can see it right here actually. Boom, right there. DC Studios trending with James Gunn. Let's see if we got any info yet being announced. See, everybody wants to know what's it going to be, because there's going to be an announcement, and people think that James Gunn is going to be restoring the DCU, the DC Comics universe. 10 minutes left, and it says 9 minutes. Be sure to follow Hollywood Handle and turn on notifications. Oh, I think they're about to post something right now. It says 10 minutes left, and that was 9 minutes ago. All right. Oh, 7 seconds ago. It's time. Be sure to follow us and turn on notifications so you won't miss anything. Okay, but what is it? I don't know what it is. They're teasing. They're teasing hard right now. Something's about to go down any second, and we're live for it. Check Discord, brother, says BB Zoe. What is it, Quilly? Oh, about the thing? Yeah, it's no big deal, dude. I don't really care about content creation. I mean, about whatever it's called, the copyright thing. Yeah, I don't care about the copyright thing. I do monetize my live streams during the drops, because you actually make $4 or $5, but like I just said, it's only $4 or $5, so it's not a big deal. All right, apparently this Hollywood Handle is about to pump some real big DC news. What's up, Abdullah? I see you trying to sell that number 268 uncommon, bro, for 10 gems. I feel like you're too low on it. Be patient. Hopefully the uncommon Superman I got yesterday pumps. Let's go, Meta Money. Nice pickup. Money So Big starts playing. I don't know that song. Money So Big. All right, we're waiting for this big announcement coming. It says 10 minutes left. Happens in 10 minutes. Oh, yeah, we got to, of course, we got to see the DC Universe Twitter so we can know when this begins. Oh, I think it might be beginning. Yep, it's beginning. All right, let's get in here. We in there. I'm on my new, actually, I'm on my old Twitter, which is like my new old Twitter. Are we in there? We're in there. But it's got my back cal on there. Okay, make sure we can hear this. I don't think anything's happening right now. I'm in there, but nothing's happening. We're in there, though. I don't know if this scene is set up. Yeah, it's set up. See, you can see we're in there. I'll add the audio in case we come to this scene right here. Let me push it up a little bit. And yeah, we're just waiting for this to start. Yo, bro. I want it to gone. That's why it's that cheap. I almost bought it myself. What's up, Aiden? I did want to keep my eye out on that Hollywood place. I don't want to lose my spot in the AMA, though. Let's see if I can find that Hollywood. What was that Twitter we were looking at a second ago? I bet we can find it again if we go to DC Studios right here. The Hollywood Handle. Oh, there it is. I think that's the news they were talking about. There it is. James Gunn's Superman reboot will hit theaters on July 11th, 2025. First of all, you heard it first right here on the VB Vault channel. Second of all, 2025, who cares? That's like 8 years from now. Man, they did that with Deadpool too. Or yeah, it was like the new movie they were talking about, the Deadpool. Like, oh yeah, nice. Oh, it's in 2025. Like, oh, I'll be like 50 years old by then. I won't even like comics anymore by then. All right, let's check this out. Am I missing something? No, I don't think they're talking yet. They're not talking yet. We're good. We're chilling. We're chilling. Yeah, man, it's so far away. I can't get pumped for something from 2025. My kid will be in high school in 2025. Oh my goodness. It's a long time. Yeah, it sounds like James Gunn is directing a new Superman movie. They didn't technically say James Gunn, but everybody said this has to do with James Gunn. And once the AMA starts, I will mute myself.
Hi everyone, welcome to our Twitter space. We will get started very shortly. We're running a couple minutes late, and we're also waiting to hear back from other people. Oh, we can get started now. Welcome to our Twitter space. I'm your host, Shay Byron with Palm NFT Studio. Since October 2022, DC Collectible Comics have been exciting fans weekly with new opportunities to enjoy legendary DC titles and with a new opportunity to collect variant, rare, and original, specially graded DC3s. Today, Palm NFT Studios Director of Story, Caitlin Burns, is sitting down with the legendary artist, collector, and CCO and publisher of DC, Jim Lee. We're going to dive into the thought process behind the art of DC collectible comics, how they're made, and how and why different titles are being released from the thousands of amazing DC titles, both past and present. Jim, Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you so much for making sure this all came together, Shay. Jim, I think we're so excited to have you, and we appreciate your time so much this day where nothing else is going on, right? Um, I think we may need you to request to speak, so we can bring you up to the stage.
Also, I've invited you to speak, Jim, but it doesn't look like it's going through.
Oh dear.
I also sent you a co-host invite if that works better. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. Sometimes it's just Twitter space. Let's see. Let me try it a different way. Jim, I'm going to send you an invite to co-host, and I think that might be going through your email.
I want to say how excited we are to see so many bat cowls in the audience, how excited we are to see so many of you joining us today. It has been an absolute pleasure for the last months for me, get a seat on the sidelines to watch as Jim and the DC team have been putting together the amazing DC3s. These DC collectible comics are fascinating, and even I haven't gotten a chance to know the whole creative process inside DC. We are so excited to have Jim talk to us about that more today. This is the first time we've really had a chance to sit down and talk exclusively about DCs and the DC3s and the art behind bringing these amazing comics to life. For those of you who are bat cowl holders, you've heard Jim talk before about the Bat Cowls collection. And of course, for those of you who are in New York for New York Comic Con, you got to hear Jim talk about a lot of behind the scenes topics in person. I was so excited, and I wish I could have gone myself. Yeah, I think we're really thrilled to have you here today. And once we sort out these technical bits, I know everyone in the audience is going to be just as excited.
Sorry, still working on it. I wish we could just have him call in.
Next time.
I can see that you're on, Jim. Although it still says listener, and it's not allowing us to make him a speaker. What do you recommend, Caitlin? Jim, would you like to log off and log back in? Maybe that would help?
I'm truly not sure. Jim, if you are not using a mobile device, that may be an issue here as well. We again thank you so much for troubleshooting this with us during a very busy day.
Okay, let's see if we could do it. Try this one. Still not. Jim, are you joining us on, if you're joining us on a desktop, that may not work. So if you can log off and log back in through a mobile device. Sorry for the difficulties, everyone. This has never happened before.
Hello. I made it.
Oh, yay!
Yay!
Hi, Jim.
Yeah, I was on my laptop
Welcome,
and I'm looking
Jim.
for the mic button, and I'm going. I obviously do not a lot. So yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I don't think anyone in the audience will ever forget to go onto Twitter Spaces through mobile.
Right.
Thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited to hear more about the process of bringing these really incredible comics to life. Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah. That's
Awesome. So I think our first question really focuses on what was the thought process behind these new versions of classic comics in the DC collectible comics? What was the first part of the vision that came to your mind?
yeah. I think you know all along this process. I mean, this obviously new territory, a new business, um, new communities. But I wanted to have some sort of north star, like just drawing upon my own experiences as a collector of comic book art, of comic books in general, uh, and use that knowledge as sort of the north star for how we make decisions around these NFTs. And um, the thing in collectible comics, at least for the older comics, the classic comics, the legacy comics, is that um, the grade, the condition of the comic is paramount in terms of determining value of the comic, right? It's a scale from 0 to 10. And the older comics, this is before anyone knew that comic books, physical comic books, would have value. A lot of them were thrown away, so there's not a lot. And the ones that survived were, well read, like traded amongst readers and fans. And so they get wear and tear. And then, but new comics don't, because people are savvy to the fact that comic books can be worth money and are collectibles, and you don't see anything new in really bad shape anymore. For the most part, people just throw them away because they can always find a much better, higher quality copy for a reasonable amount of money, right? So using that bit of information, I was like, all right, look, it'd be kind of fun, like if we do like 5 different categories of rarities for the older comics, going all the way back to 1938, when DC was first started. Uh, might be fun, kind of fun to actually weather the comics, make them look like they have been well read and trade, just like the way you would find these out in the wild, in real life. And it's just like a fun thing to add to something that's a digital product, where obviously there can never be anywhere. And so that was the initial thinking. And then as we sort of challenged our production team, our design and production team, to come up with like a look. We didn't just find copies and scan them, although that was like a big sort of brouhaha online, a lot of conversation around that, which was super interesting. And at times I was even doubting my own sanity, like, were some of some of this like photographed and then compiled together? I was like really trying, and it was all done like digitally from scratch, which is just amazing, and speaks to the amazing talent and abilities of our production and design team. And that was a lot of fun, and people like dug it because it's not something else you see out in the marketplace. It is a definite tip of the hat to the legacy of comic book collecting, how this all started, how value was created. And then the modern comics, the rarities were sort of based on different covers. And that actually is more how physical comics are valued in the modern day, right? First appearances. So almost everything we do has some sort of historical significance: first appearance of a character, first appearance of a concept, etc. And then the second is variant covers. Some variant covers are super rare and go for thousands of dollars. And so we wanted to lean into that aspect of modern day comic book collecting. People really are into chase variants and exclusive variants and things like that. So that was kind of the guiding principle behind it all. And we didn't know really which would hit. And it's really interesting to see how the community has responded to the aged comics, and then obviously the variant comics covers. And even with the variant covers, we try to have a simple guiding principle so that, you know, if you didn't see like that it's rare or epic or legendary, you can kind of tell based on the design or the color scheme, essentially kind of what category is. So we came up with some sort of general guidelines for what is a common, uncommon, epic, etc. in the modern sort of line of comics as well. So that's the long-winded answer to it all. But it really is just it just drawing upon decades of physical comic book collecting and what drives that marketplace, and using that as a starting point for what we're doing in the NFT space, recognizing that these digital collectible comics are going to hit differently. It's a different but adjacent collecting audience, and and the cool thing about this is that we can learn from the feedback we're getting from the collectors. The data itself really kind of shines a future path going forward. And so I think 2 years, 5 years, what we're offering will be different, and but fully informed and guided and directed by our collecting community, which is exciting because you don't have that in the physical space, right? So anyway.
It's true. And I have to say, I was really, you know, surprised and delighted by how intense the conflict around are these originals versus are these scanned versions of the comics was. But having had a chance to see a little bit of the process with the incredible artists on your team at DC, um, it showed how much thought is going into each version of each comic and how much the last drop is informing the next drop.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the work that went into the distressing of the comics. What was the process like to develop? How many versions of the covers and pages did you all review before you came up with the final ones for at least those first early DC3s?
Yeah, early days, we try to map it to the actual sort of. There's like a 10-point scale that I mentioned before, and we try to map it to that. Fine, very fine, good, very good, very good. And these are mint, near mint, that kind of thing. But what we found is that the differences between the distressed covers at those different grades really was not noticeable. You had to really zoom in to see like a little crinkle in the spine, or a chip on the corner, color discoloration or whatever. And so we pushed the team, like, can you go a little crazier? Let's not worry about the number grading. Let's create 5 looks that are easily and distinctly different from the get-go. And that then they started having fun. They started putting tape and stamps and all sorts of water stains on the the uncommons, and to the point where we actually had to pull it back a little bit. Like, I think there was one cover was like in 3 pieces with Scotch tape holding it together, or like this archipelago of art, and it was a little too much, I thought. So there's a little bit of modulation, but at this point they're so good and they understand really what we're trying to achieve, that it's like, this looks awesome, amazing. And really also stress that we didn't want to make the distress, we didn't want to make it look like something that was done in a cookie cutter process, or copy and pasted, right, where you see the same sort of defects or discolorations in different spots. Really stress to them, like, look, make this bespoke, make this look unique, and like every distressed comic should look different from the others. And to their credit, they've kind of just blown it out of the park every time. So it's been really fun to watch.
I think that, fans in the audience, and I know I have been really enjoying watching the process of that over the different drops that we've had since October.
Right.
Throwing you
Oh,
a
oh,
hardball.
actually, one more thing I want to say.
Yeah.
'Cause there were times when I wanted to put this out on Twitter. I'm like, just bite my lip and just be quiet or whatever. But I want to say, if we were to have actually scanned the comics, sourcing the comic at the right condition,
Yeah.
paying for these comics, which would be super expensive and physical, and then uh, modifying it digitally after that, is so much more work than starting with the the clean, pristine file and then and digitally weathering it. So, you know, we like I just want people to know that like some of these theories just made no sense. Like the amount of work it would take and the cost of finding a Superman #1 in whatever condition is just, it would break the bank. So this is all digital. We have a vast archive library of all our content. We just pull the file and then people go to town. And I mean, look, these are pros. These are best in their class in terms of what they do, and they deliver the goods to the point where people actually were fooled and thought these were physically scanned comics. Like, oh, look at their staples, and it's like, no, they put the staples in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just funny. Anyway,
It is. I want to make sure we do make time for audience questions.
sure,
So I'm
sure,
going to try and sneak in two quick, difficult
yeah.
questions for you. What is your favorite DC collectible comic that has been dropped to date?
Wow. Oh, I think it's the first one,
Mhm.
just because, the Superman one, just because it kind of launched everything and created all this discussion around the process of it all. And so that's my favorite of the ones that have come out. But I think the one this week uh,
Oh.
is I'm just not, I'm not just doing this to promote. I actually think it is, you know, part of the release schedule is around sort of special moments in DC history, right? So
Yeah.
you're getting a digital commemoration of the introduction of a character, or the rebooting of a classic character, or the introduction of a storyline that changed everything, right? So I bought a copy of the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
But this week is Flash 120 issue 123, which is Flash of Two Worlds. It is a seminal moment in comics publishing history because it introduces the concept of the multiverse in a very big commercial way. You see the Flash, Barry Allen meet Jay Garrick, the Flash of a different Earth, and it basically united the Golden Age and the Silver Age of DC history. But it also just signaled this idea that, hey, we're not alone, that we live perhaps in a multiverse where there are alternate parallel dimensions where we may be also reflected but slightly differently, right? Might be a villain or taller or shorter, these parallel universes, and they go on and on and on. And while that concept had been introduced in science fiction, I think, or in literature before, it just never really caught on until DC, I think, in many ways commercialized it and popularized it. And to this day, now you see it kind of everywhere. And it's a pretty well understood concept. And so it's just a special issue. And I'm excited to see it finally come out.
Yeah. I'm so excited for the Flash as well. I've spent a lot of my time playing in really big story worlds, and I love how well this story brings all of those worlds together, and that it did it so early in the history of DC. I think it's a really special one, and I'm so excited to have it in the collectible comics
Yeah.
universe. Yeah. So, last question for me, and then we're going to open it up to the audience. What are you most excited about in 2023 for the DC Collectible Comics, the Gotham City Night Watch? It's been a pleasure to bring things this far, and I know that there are going to be so many new things in the new year that we're going to be able to play with.
Yeah. So I don't know what I can share. I'm going to share a lot. I'm going to share some, but with the
Yeah.
caveat that the fun part of my job is really, sit there with you and the Palm team and just ideate and just throw out ideas. And I'm sure you guys are scratching your head half the time, and also or flabbergasted, like, how are we going to build this into the roadmap? But I think it's just, to me, um, uh, what I love about this is the future is still sort of uncharted territory, and that's exciting as a creative. But what I'm sort of thinking, and I love a lot of the stories and the puzzles and the clues that you've been creating, Caitlin, is how do we bring this all together, right? Like, do we just keep throwing different collectibles, charms and comics and neighborhood sigils and cowls, or those kind of items, or do we figure out a way to bring it together? And so, there's, in physics, there's this thing called unified field theory. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know if anyone's familiar with it. I don't know a lot about it, but it stuck with me all these decades since high school, which was like, people had they understood how magnetism and electricity and light and all this work, but then they figured out that it's all interrelated and that you can kind of put it all together. They got to a pretty good approximation of how it all worked as one sort of equation. And so, what I would like to see in the space is that it's not just here are the cowl holders, here are the DC3 collectible comics owners, here are the people that are really into the sigils, and here are the people that are really into the creating the comic book. And I think, and I'm saying I think, and I know the real answer is I know, because we've been talking about it. It's like, how do we bring this all together so everything relates and inspires and motivates and directs the other? So it's not just like you collect this and I collect that. We're all collecting sort of the same thing. They all have some role to play within this giant sort of ecosystem that we're creating. So that's the fun part of it. Like, how do the Bat Cows relate to the DC3 comics, and how does that relate to the neighborhoods, and how does that relate to how we interact with the community and continue to give them cool things as benefits for being these collectors of our NFTs. So that's the fun stuff that we're talking about this year. A lot more user gen. I'll just throw out one thing that I think people really responded to, and which was when the Bat Cows first came out, I just saw these amazing I don't know what to call them other than customizations, right? The fans were taking comic book art and basically mapping it to these the shape of the bat cowl, or putting it in the background. They're creating essentially their own dioramas or posters or graphical images using the cows as a centerpiece. And I just love the creativity of all. And I was blown away by the quality of the work, but I also just saw how excited people were to interact with their bat cowl, modify it, share it, display it, interact with other fans as they respond, gave feedback. So it would be wonderful to figure out a way to bring the community in as we think about future, perhaps like variant covers, for comics. So we're going to lean on the community to actually create some of the stuff that we're going to collect. And I think that's kind of exciting, because that's not something that is easily done in the physical space or has been done before. So that's the kind of stuff that I think is just super interesting. And then also, how do we lean into the fact that we're in the world of Batman, and I think it's interesting that as NFTs and crypto kind of go through this turbulent phase. I always thought, like, early days, like, wow, it's interesting to see all this new IP really gain traction with the audiences. It was almost like the legacy brands and franchises and characters didn't resonate as much. And now I feel like, well, you know what? Batman is going to be around forever, and we're going to support this for a long time. And so I feel like there's stability in what we do. And so it's interesting to see kind of how this will all kind of play out, and the value of brands into this community, and not just the value of the brands, but the companies that are supporting and creating these communities, the ones that have the stability and the deep pockets to weather these kind of volatile storms in the space. I think it's an interesting to watch. So those are the two things that are kind of on my radar.
I am so excited by all of this as well. And, for you all in the audience, I just want to say, I one of my favorite parts of this process, for the past, year since Fandom, and 9 months since we've had the Bat Cowl collectors holders with us. Um, I'm always excited to work with you, Jim, because not only do you hold us to a really high creative standard that we always want to match and exceed, really appreciate your innovation and willingness to push us all forward. And I just can't thank you enough for sharing that with us today. I think we have a few more minutes left, and we'd love to bring audience members up to the stage. Jim, I don't know how much time you can spend with us, acknowledging that it is a very busy day for DC and DC fans. But let's bring up some listeners from the audience.
Absolutely. Just a reminder, we cannot provide any information on collectible value or pricing. If you have a question, please request permission by clicking the request icon below the mic, and I'll open it up for you. The first one we've got is Huckman007.
And as always, there might be a slight lag, so I will just keep tap dancing. Jim, if you keep wanting to tell us interesting things while we're waiting for Hawkman to join.
Sure.
And
I am
Hawkman,
here and ready.
yay!
And first of all, thanks to DC NFT and Shay for putting this together. Of course, to Caitlin for hosting, and of course to Jim Lee for taking the time to answer our questions. Appreciate that. And a
Nice.
shout out to my fellow Gotham Financial District cowl holders as well.
Good to hear from you, Hawkman007. I was just reading some of your Discord comments.
Oh,
and I love how you've mashed together two brands.
yes. And I've brought in a third with the calendar man. I do the
Right.
calendar every other day. So very quickly, two questions.
Hawkman007. I'm just throwing
No,
that
no,
out there.
100%. At one point, Hawkman was James Bond. I'm convinced of that. We just need to get the IP.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Has there been any consideration to having a comic drop the same week a comic is released in shops?
That is a good question. We could certainly do it. I don't feel like they are. I think they're pretty separate pools of audiences or readers, collectors. But yeah, that would be an exciting thing to do. You know, right now we're on a cadence of a book a week or whatever. The question is, what's more important, more books out every week, or syncing up with the actual release schedule? I think it would be kind of fun to do that on a new title that will give us time to prep and everything. But yeah, that's a great suggestion. I'm going to jot that down. I think that would be kind of fun to do. I want to think of other benefits we get from it other than just syncing up the marketing of it all. But maybe there's some other cool things that happen. And my mind immediately goes to what can we do in the physical space when a book drops, or do we do it internationally? Because that's something that we did in the physical space. I think with Batman Fortnite and I think Batman the World, we put out the comic book day and date all around the world at the same time, which is not the usual case. So I think there's some fun things that happen when you do that. But I think that's a great idea. But I don't want to just do that and just limit it to that. Like there should be some other benefit we get out of doing something like that. Beyond just the syncing up of the marketing. So I don't know if that
right. No, it does. It does. I was specifically thinking of stuff like the Dark Crisis events or the Action Comics 1051, the official start of Dawn of DC, that kind of stuff, the big tent poles and that gets me to another part of, because I'm a big Dark Knight's death metal fan. I loved that one last week.
Uh-huh.
And I noticed the epic cover with Wonder Woman by Ji Hyung Lee was slightly different than the variant cover that was available in stores. It was pushed in a bit more, different placement of the title and the credits.
Yeah.
Do you consider these unique covers that are not available anywhere else? Are there truly only 368 copies of that book with that cover in the world?
Yes. The short answer is yes. So sometimes we use the actual file unedited, unchanged, and for the modern comics, right? And because the modern comics are really drawing upon
938. That's what it says right there.
The base cover, and then if there are variant covers, we use that, and sometimes promotional art, sometimes interior art that's been modified, and we had different sort of guiding principles for each category of rarity. So one level of rarity, the backgrounds were grayed out on all of them, right? So that led to actual variant images that were manipulated again to be distinctly different than the physical counterpart. We didn't do it for every single one, but we changed. If it made for a better looking cover, a better looking DC3 cover, we made that change. And so there's probably more input that's happening on the modern comics than the classic comics where it's all the weathering and discoloration and stuff like that. That's primarily driven by the production team at this point and their ingenuity. The modern comics, yeah, we're debating this one should move over here. Let's swap out that cover for a different cover, different artist. So the answer is yes. But by design, and it's to really make sure that the covers are as striking as possible, and recognizing that sometimes the art wasn't, if it wasn't designed to be a cover, the composition might not fit the aspect ratio just perfectly, or we want to zoom in on an aspect that that perhaps makes for a more striking composition. So we are going in there and making those kind of changes.
Appreciate all of that. I'm going to let others get to their questions, but I would be remiss if I didn't plea with you to bring back Hawkman with an ongoing title in the very near future. I know his logo is there on the Dawn of DC, and that's got me excited. So thank you again for taking the time and answering our questions.
Our pleasure. I love Hawkman, and he's a character I sketch and doodle a lot during business meeting. It's like probably the most him. Yeah, he's probably like the most common. Just like I just love drawing the helmet and then the big span of the ears, or the wings. Sorry, and the
okay. Thanks, Hawkman. The next person we've got is the Doge.
The Doge.
The Doge. While you're coming up on stage, I'm going to shout out DJCK, who is at Park Row here on the last night of the Park Row Bat Cowl exclusive, listening to the spaces. Thank you for listening. I'm so excited to see you on the line. The Doge, please go
Hello, and again, thank you guys for having this space. And Mr. Lee, again, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate this and admire everything you've done. With my question, given your background with all the struggles you had back in the early, with certain companies that you're with, and you fought the good fight for the artists and for the storylines and for these characters, way back then when you were fighting the good fight and getting everything together for the artists. Is this what you imagined it could be? Having the fans included with the story, having unique things, having control. I mean, everything that you've done to fight for stories and people and artists. Is this kind of like the utopia or the beginning of what you were fighting for way back then?
Gosh, that's super interesting. I think the struggle, if I could use the word, I think it started from it was driven by the need to control and own the creative.
Of course, and I didn't really want to bring up anybody's names or company names, or that's not the point. But as far as like, the fight, the good fight that you were doing, and everything. I mean, with that good fight, I mean, we might not have even had, the Walking Dead comics. You know what I mean? And so with everything that you've contributed, is this? I mean, this to me feels so amazing, and it's like, yay, it's here. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with how amazing it is, but I think to me, it's more of a, think about it, utopia or a dream, right? To me, I would go all the way back to like when I was a kid reading comics, like 9 years old, right? It was a one-way discussion, right?
Right.
You went to the store, I had my comic books mailed to me actually, and you read it, and you would look at the credits and you would see people's names and you would just go, all right, I don't know who that person is, but I recognize that name, and that name, is my favorite artist now, because every time I see that name, that person delivers with some really cool art. And I've been in the comic book business for decades now, and what I've seen is that the inclusion of the fans has become more, and it's not just comics, but just life in general, I think. But it started with message boards, and then fan clubs, and conventions. Conventions, because this one-way discussion wasn't satisfying to a lot of readers and fans. They wanted to interact with the creators. They wanted to know how they came up with these storylines or talk about their favorite characters. And so this whole cottage industry that's taken over the world, Comic-Cons, sprung from that desire to interact with people that create the content. And to me, this is an extension and almost an optimization of that. Look, we're talking through our devices. I don't know
exactly.
World, right?
I'm not in a warehouse waiting in line with a ticket to talk to you. Like, I'm able to talk to you right now, and so it's like the whole evolution of it. And you're at the tip of it, and you were a part of this amazing team back then that fought the good fight. And I believe off of all of that, I mean, it leads into all of this, so the fan clubs, the Comic-Cons, and now, I mean, I'm here in my living room talking to probably one of my favorite artists of all time in a project that I'm involved in with him, and it's a dream come true. So I just want to say thank you for everything that you have done. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So, Jim, we've got Do you think we have time for one last
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
great. I am gonna.
We started late. So.
Awesome. I'm gonna bring up Legacy T.
Legacy. While you're coming up on stage, I'll remind you all we still have a few weeks left of voting on Batman the Legacy Cal. So for you, those of you who are Bat Cal holders, make sure you're casting your votes. They're coming in by email. Dan Abnett, Pablo and Kolar, they are working in real time to get Chapter 2 up and ready to go out to market. Jim, Legacy, take it away.
Hello, thank you for your time. A pleasure as always, Jim, Caitlin, and DC NFT. So, in regards to the cows, we've been told that we are a part of the DC universe. My question is, have you all determined what universe we are in or what Earth we might be a part of?
The Earth we're actually, like, you and I are in right now.
Would that be our Earth?
Or no? So I'm a little confused by the question. So the Earth that the
where does our story arc take?
Yeah.
Oh,
Gotham City District Night Watch and Batman Legacy Cal and all of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I definitely haven't given it a number. Earth NFT.
Yeah.
we have some Earths designated by letters and not just numbers, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's an adjacent continuity that leans on sort of the classic version of these characters as we know it. But at the same time, we have the freedom to not necessarily be bound and constrained by what's happening in the rest of the interconnected DC universe, I guess. That said, the way I always look at this is that the best ideas rise to the top, and so no matter where or what imprint a cool idea comes from, if it's cool enough and the readers embrace it enough, it becomes canon, it becomes lore, and you start seeing other creatives quickly embrace it. When Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller first came out, it was out of continuity, and then people loved it so much they started building their stories towards this future outcome. Same thing with The Killing Joke. So I think it's still nascent days for what we're doing in this space, but I think the storylines and concepts that interest this particular community, the storylines that we're sort of gravitating towards, I think is the future of kind of where storytelling is going to head. Like, you see the impact of AI, and not just writing, but art, but just, in life in general. And what does that mean to be a superhero, especially one without superpowers in this space? So I thought it was interesting in the Batcow story that, he had a bat cave that basically was sentient and self-healing, and to me, that sounds a little scary, but maybe but maybe not to someone like Batman, right? So that's I feel like the stuff that we're exploring in the space and what this space represents is something that is going to be with us for a long time and be even more profoundly impactful than we really even recognize and understand right now. Hope that answers your question.
Amazing.
It did. Thank you.
Thank you, Legacy. Okay, well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have questions for today. If we didn't get to your question, please tag us on Twitter. A special thank you to Jim Lee for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, everyone who was able to join us. We've got a lot more Twitter Spaces planned in the next few weeks, so stay tuned. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Shay. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for having me. Take it. Bye.
Shout out to Jim Lee and the DC Batcal crew. That was the AMA. The one thing they did confirm for sure, is that they're not scanned. And I think we had already figured out that they weren't scanned. I'd been trying to tell y'all they weren't scanned, but nobody believed me they weren't scanned. I know some of y'all in the chat did, but now we know they're not scanned. But then again, he did already say that. Otherwise, not a whole lot. However, we have been getting a lot of updates. If you guys have been paying attention to the screen, a lot of stuff has been getting announced on the Hollywood Handle. I mean, I'm sure it's getting announced everywhere, but I just happened to be looking at the Hollywood Handle about all these DC announcements. The Flash full trailer drops in 12 days. Bad Boys 4, y'all saw I was pumped on that one, is dropping. I don't know if that's a DC movie, probably not. But also, oh yeah, I've heard about this too. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. It's like since Winnie the Pooh is now in public domain, somebody grabbed it and made a horror movie out of it, which is just horrible. But there's some actual real DC announcements like Booster Gold, which I thought it was really interesting because when I did the video about David Yu's wallet, if you look up David Yu's wallet on VV, his username is Booster Gold, and I never heard of Booster Gold, so thought that was wild. And then a Green Lantern movie, and hopefully it's not Ryan Reynolds again. Creature Commandos, TV animated series, never heard of those, maybe it's new. This sounded kind of cool. The Authority is a new movie and works at DC Studios, and it's an ensemble movie about superhumans who have a less than idealistic approach to saving the world. Then they have this Paradise Lost Wonder Woman animated movie. I don't know what this Brave and the Bold movie is in the works. I mean, they thought it might have something to do with the Brave and Bold 28 comic that we got on the DC Palm Network already. Shout out to James Brown. Thank you for joining, my man, and I enjoy your music. Maybe not that James Brown, pretty popular name. But I appreciate you joining the Omi Homie crew. Let's go. We're checking out some of these announcements. This is one that was trending on Twitter already about the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie is in the works. But some of these movies they're saying is like coming out in 2025. That's a long way away. And then Amanda Waller, I had to look her up. Y'all say she's known as the Wall. It looks familiar. I've seen her in some superhero movies before, but apparently she's got a TV series coming out. Swamp Thing's movie, let's go. The Swamp Thing movie is in the works. And then Batman Part 2, October 30th, October 3rd, 2025. And then we got James Gunn's Superman reboot, July 11th, 2025. So some big announcements from DC about some movies coming out, the DCU, some James Gunn directed movies. Let's do one more trivia question before we end the live stream. We were just planning on having an AMA, and I kind of thought the AMA would take a while. Excuse me, usually they last an hour or two. Wasn't expecting that one to be over already, but that's fine. We got plenty of NFTs to give away. We went ahead and decided to skip trivia today because of this AMA that everybody wanted to see. Let me find something decent to give you guys. Do I got anything good left? I need to load up my wallet soon. All right, the last prize is going to be Shiba Inu. Amanda was in the Suicide Squad. Oh, yeah, that's where I know her from. I haven't seen the new Suicide Squad yet, Part 2, and it looks good, too. I don't know why I haven't seen it. So, yeah, in case y'all were wondering, Kryptoni, it is not scanned. I've already proven that it's not scanned to everybody, but nobody listens to me. You got to hear it from Jim Lee. But you want me to prove it real quick that it's not scanned? I said this a long time ago. It's not like I'm making it up. I already knew this, and in my opinion, it's proven for life, forever. Now let me show you my proof, and tell me this ain't proof that it's not scanned. Give me a second. I'll find it. All right, we're gonna go to Wonder Woman. We're gonna go to this Wonder Woman that I own. It's gonna take a second because the page is a little slow, and it's gonna crash. All right, let's go back to Marketplace and find it again. But no, this is important. I'm trying to show you some absolute proof that you can tell your friends whenever they ask you, hey, are those comics scanned? No. And you know why? Because of this uncommon right here. Yeah. It's hard to see. You have to really get in there. But if you see that, you can see it from here. If you get your face close to the screen, it says June 7th, 1939. June 7th, 1939. That's not when that Wonder Woman came out. That came out in like the 60s. What that stamp is the exact same stamp that they put on Superman #1 because it is the year that Superman #1 came out, June 7th, 1939. So if you go to Superman #1 and you look at that uncommon, you will see the exact same stamp because it's an error. They used the same stamp. There it is, June 7th, 1939. So it can't be scanned. I rest my case. Mic drop. Let's get on with the trivia. We got one more trivia question for you guys. The prize is going to be the Shiba Inu. It doesn't mean they didn't scan it. They can scan and add a stamp technology. I mean, I guess. But I felt like that was a pretty good evidence because then you're doing two different things. Tony Padilla's in the house. What do you think of Hero? I've seen a lot in Twitter. Do you think it's worth it? Yeah, I mean, Hero's been getting stronger. They got the same people behind them, like the same people that tweet about these DC comic NFTs right here are the same people that tweet about the Hero platform, and those prices have definitely been going up. I'm glad I diamond handed some of my Hero cards so that I have a little bit of value now that they're going up. All right, guys, I'm going to ask you one more trivia question. Crap, we didn't see that. And we're going to put the first 5 correct answers on the wheel, and whoever's name it lands on will win the Shiba Inu NFT. Usually we have VV Tuesday trivias with me and VV Arcade right here at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do it for about an hour, but today was a special day since we had Jim Lee. We might reschedule it for later on in the weekend if you guys are interested, but this is going to be the last question for today. Then I'll be ending the stream, and I will see y'all on the next Drop Day live stream. All right, here comes your question. First 5 correct answers in the chat will be on the Wheel of Names. Which one of the ghost bears is the rare? Which ghost bear is rare? Each ghost bear has its own name. I don't even want that. I'll just say name. Yeah, it's a collar. Each one of the ghost bears has its own collar, but which ghost bear, however, is the rare? The rare bear. We're looking for the rare Care Bear. Is the blue bear. If you said blue bear, you were correct. We're going to take the first 5 correct answers and put them on the Wheel of Names. Let's see who it was. Mr. Evo said red. Abdullah said green. Subby0 said green. Tom Shock on the wheel again with Mr. Evo. Blue is the correct answer. Let me put Tom Shockley and Mr. Evo on the wheel. I know sometimes people's names are already on the wheel and I delete it and write them again. I just feel like you should have your fresh name, a fresh wheel every time, just because of superstitious reasons. Shout out to Don Yan, number 3 on the wheel. And then we got Kryptonia's number 4. We got room for one more. I don't know who it's going to be. Throw that E in there. I never know if Kryptonia has an E or doesn't. It does on his Twitter, but it doesn't on his YouTube name. All right, and the last one for the blue is going to be G Money. G Money makes it in there, number 5. Make sure I didn't rug anybody. Sometimes we skip people on accident. Nope, looks like we got everybody on there. The correct answer was blue, and we're going to spin that wheel. And whoever it lands, who was it? It was G Money. G Money loves ghost bears, and whoever it lands on is going to win that Shiba Inu NFT. Bruin says, what about me? What about me? I would never skip you, bro. But you got to keep in mind during the during the trivia, that whenever you type your name in there, it pops right up on the screen. But in actuality, there's a little bit of lag there, and it takes a minute to get there. So let's see, Bruin88, you're down here. You're right here. You said blue, but you were underneath Abdullah and underneath G Money. So technically you were number 7, and we only take the first 5. So you didn't quite make the cut. You got rugged a little bit there, but that's how it works. All right. Good luck if you're on the wheel. Here we go. Allison Bamcat is always the answer. The VV Community Workshop is in their Discord, so I ain't invited. What's up, Sonny Hansen? All right, Tom Shocks, he was on the wheel all day, and he gets the prize. Shocks with a Z. Tom Shockley. Make sure, guys, if you won a prize during this stream, we did like 4 trivia questions, get a hold of me on Twitter at VVVault or on Discord. Send me your ETH address if I don't already have it, and I'll send you over that prize later on today. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. It was I guess an underwhelming AMA, but we did learn a little bit of information, and it's nice to finally be having some, this will be the first DC AMA I attended, and I will see you guys at the next VV Drop Day live stream. Later, guys.